Hello. How you doing today? So, I had a couple of virtual interviews lined up, which is seems kind of silly, talking to a robot. Um, but I got stood up, which seems kind of poetic. An absentee robot. Anyway, as a result, you guys are getting a little extra of me. I'm gonna do more of the reading to try and catch up and feel productive after getting stood up again by the AI. This is how it starts. They get your hopes up and then break you down. Anyway, I'm picking up where I left off. I don't know if I'll go the full hour. Depends on how long the coffee holds out. I've got to go get my bike fixed. I popped the. I think I killed a tire, the front tire on a goat head, running books. I'm wondering if I can get the wheels upgraded. Not upgraded, but like get the tires a little bit stronger because I'm gonna be putting a lot of mileage on that puppy. Because gas prices, it's getting hairy out there, which makes playing free to play games a lot easier to justify in the face of what feels like overwhelming nonsense. Anyway, I've also got a couple of other book projects. I talked to girlfriend, whatever we are, I love her still, about the book I was working on, Dead Saint Songs, and the feedback was that it needs more structure, which I agree with. So I'm going back and outlining that. But in the meantime, I'm going to be trying to focus on smaller projects, which this counts as reading. But also, I've got a Battle of the Bands bracket that I want to build. I want to illustrate a poem that I wrote about her and then give her a book with those illustrations and the poem, which is very twee, very Winnie the Pooh and like ridiculous nonsense. Um, just trying to make this heart pay rent. But otherwise, I'll just give you a little feel for what I got going on. Um, I'm currently parked at, let's see, Hex Rex. I'm about to go off on a merry jaunt to grab the rest of the stuff that I'm moving out of Null. I just parked a wreath, and I'm just sort of gathering toys out in Turnback ITC. So one of the things I like to do, I'm going to give like a little, maybe this should just be an Orby report, you know? I don't feel like the full reading. We'll see how I feel. One of the things I like to do is fly out deeper in to Null in really cheap ships, slashers, because you don't need anything expensive to kill cameras. You can use free-to-play vessels to pick fights with no intention of winning whatsoever, just to, poke the bear and see what happens. And I've got a few that I just keep sending out. And once they get to where they're going, I'm probably going to flip them for a reduced price, which makes, like, for a really cheap, low capability civilian craft. Because if you buy, like, a basic frigate, like the slashers, outright, you can go, have fun in them. Like, they're stupid cheap. You're not going to be super productive. Like, you can't really do anything other than super low tier PvE content. But most cameras are dumb. They just sit there. They're lower tier than most PvE content. So I'm taking this, you can kind of see, I don't know. I'm taking this guy out to Null. And there's my bookmarks. Feel free to come harass me. Let's see. So from hex rex to turn back ITC. Usually I just throw in the autopilot, 25 jumps or so, and away we go. The little civilian slasher is on its merry way, carrying absolutely nothing at this point, but if I wanted to try and set up, different goals at different locations, I was experimenting with that. That's actually where I get my fuel from, is turn back ITC. It's the only reason I really spend any time out there at all anymore. Most of my time is spent moving resources back to Orion in preparation for the transfer to free-to-play again. I wanted to explore planetary exploitation a lot more, but ultimately I just found real life more interesting. Yeah. Cool. Otherwise, let's see. Oh, I was talking to Gromar. I mentioned Gromar. I mentioned him in the video from earlier, so I shared it with him. I wanted to get his opinion on what I had to say in response to his video, and he recommended I share it further. So I did, kind of. I shared it in his Discord, which felt squicky, awkward. I didn't really enjoy that, but I do like sharing things that I like talking about with friends. I don't know if strangers on the internet count as friends. I would like to think of you as friends, because Orby is not really involved in any sort of null-sec politics. And like my interest in politics is more of the casual kind, with like popcorn and the Wilhelm scream and watching the train slowly run into the wall in slow motion. It's not pretty, but it's not terminal. It's just the end of the world. Let's see. But yeah, he recommended I follow up on... Let me pull up my notes. Regional delivery as a service. So in low and high sec, you might be wondering, why would you ever go there? What benefit is there to civilized space? And like, from a resource gathering perspective, none. None whatsoever. High sec and low sec offer worse, arguably worse. And the reason it's arguable is because of condensed spaces. I'm going to hold off on the reading, because like, I got a rant coming, and that's pretty much all this is, but it's a new rant, so the book will wait. I'll get back to the reading next Tuesday. So, regional delivery is the one service in low and high that like makes it worthwhile. You can move goods, no matter what they are, within a region, so within the bubble around, not a bubble, but within the spaces in a constellation around whatever ITC you're talking about, ideally. But I think regional delivery pays off even without ITCs around. You can move anything you want for stupid cheap. You don't need ships to do it. You can ask the system and it'll move the stuff for you. So if you want to do a mining operation out in the middle of the boonies, where there are no pirates, none whatsoever, never any player hunting, PvPers, nope, never. Or if you want to do it, in a faster paced, more interesting location, like the low sec systems around Orion. By the way, I am hereby declaring myself the king of Orion in outside Istadar, the freelance ITC, which makes you all my loyal subjects. No. If you wanted to move rocks, for example, say you've got a mining operation going and you're just bringing in rocks left and right, and it's a very focused mining operation. You're focused on building ventures. You want to build nothing but venture ones, build your personal stockpile up. You're a new player, you're looking to get into industry, and you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, like a rational industrialist might want to do in order to maximize their individual value without having to invest any real world cash, which, is tight these days, getting tighter. Um, Best thing you can do is first off, figure out what ore you're into. For building ventures, play Geoplace. Play Geoplace and to a lesser extent Veldspar and Scordite, but mostly play Geoplace because that'll give you the three main ingredients that you need for the mineral side of the equation. To actually sell, if you want to make money as a really low level player in high sec and just want to passively play, throw the game on in the background while you work on something or write, fill out job applications if you're me, or have it running on your phone or on a laptop or whatever you got while you run errands in the background, which is usually how I handle like moving goods around, because autopilot will keep flying even if you're not playing. But if you want to just mine, it's really not very attention intensive. Like a robot can do it, which I'm going to ramble. I think that's something that NetEase could do positive changes to make less viable of an option. But I also think that they could just as easily embrace it and have like installations that could be installed or placed out in high sec especially, because with the market being flooded as it is, it's actually never been a better time to get into low level industry. Like tritanium is stupid cheap. It's actually valued at around 0.7 on a good day ish. It bumps up to 1 to 2 every now and then, but like 0.7 seems to be where it's stable. Pyrite. So sugar and spice, basically, tritanium and pyrite are the two most commonly used minerals in any build. Doesn't matter what ship you're talking about. It's, as far as I know, because I don't look at the big, stupid, expensive stuff, because all that has like extra steps, and you've got to be Omega and spend money to burn time, but also spend more money to burn less time. It's not gameplay. That's avoiding gameplay. You're spending money to avoid play, which no. Not my cup of tea. Gives the illusion of power without the actual interaction required to grow stronger. I like doing hard things. Anyway, sugar and spice, those are going to be your main money makers for getting into building. So Plagioclase, high sec, gathering up resources to build. This is as like a level 1, level 0 introduction to build ventures. What you do is you build as many of those puppies as you can, and you pick a location. So, for example, my main production facility is in Orion, spelled O-R-I-E-N, which is a misspelling. Orion was the beloved of Artemis, the hunter, who was killed, I think, I might be getting my myths crossed, but it's either by his own dogs or by being transformed into a stag and being murdered. I don't remember which one. Greek mythology. But emplaced in the stars. That's where you get Orion's belts, the 3 stars in a line, like from like the Men in Black movie way back when. But mythologically significant and cool, and to find a space in high sec, surrounded by low sec, right outside the Ethereum reach, just feels serendipitous and magical. I love it there. So I'm slowly moving back. But it's Planet 3, Station 3 is the main facility. So here's the thing about the regional delivery system is if you ask to deliver something within a region, it's going to pop up with one of those like search bars. And the search function in Eve Echoes is dodgy at best. Your best bet's just to scroll down until you find what you want to build out of. This gives an inherent incentive to building out of ITC locations, which is really cool. But like the farther you go, it doesn't cost too much extra. I'm talking like 4,000, 5,000 ISK to move ships. Like if I were to move 100 ventures that I built, which not unreasonable. I've got 100 that I'm pulling in from low sec and null sec, into Istidard, the freelance ITC. And I'm going to post those along with a lot of my other haul from my little adventure in Omega Land down to a certain coastal system. And I'm not ready to name the Ginger Coast explicitly, but let's pretend I'm moving goods from Ethereum Reach to Skarkon. The Scarred Coast is what I call it in my bookmarks. Skarkon is spelled Skarkon. If you look for it, it's one of three entry points into the Ethereum Reach. So in Gromeyer's video, he did a great job of breaking down how to focus fire on Mercoxit and C70, which are both really good high value minerals to aim for just for raw ISK. They're not the most efficient. The most efficient is and will be for a long time Zydrine, just risk to reward. But if you're going on a fishing trip, you want to follow his video because he breaks it down and gives it's really good. The operations that he outlines using needle jacks to get deep without picking up fleas or followers on. Yeah, it's great. But let's say I've got 200 billion trillion cubic meters of C70, fullerite C70, stationed in the one base in Skarkon. And I want to move that to Istidard, which I call the Freelands ITC in my bookmarks. So Scarred Coast to Freelands. If you select the item in the hangar, it'll give you a bunch of options, and the one you're looking for is regional delivery. You don't need a hauler. You don't need a Mammoth, though I think the Mammoth is one of the best transport ships, if not the best transport ship in the game. You don't need hundreds of trips back and forth in your little Venture Rock Hauler or your Venture 3 if you're a free-to-play player, because that's like the best you can get. You don't need much to move the goods. You just hit regional delivery, and usually the ITC pops up at the top of the list. But if it doesn't, you're going to have to figure out what the name of it is and move the goods that way. What I'm surprised not to see is a lot more. I don't see any strippers in the regions surrounding Jita, for example. Just day in, day out, pulling in Veldspar, Plagioclase, and Scordite. Of the three, by the way, Scordite is my favorite. Just because it's the most value dense, second most value dense. Veldspar is the most value dense. But I like Scordite because you can build up a stockpile of either pyrite or tritanium, depending on your operations overall, and then sell the other part. So you make concessions towards the need for ISK, but you're also building a stockpile towards manufacturing whatever toys you want to build. Scordite's my favorite. Plagioclase is second, and Veldspar is just ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Anyway. Regional delivery is going to cost so much less, with as much vocal fry as possible, so much less than an actual ship to move those goods. It's essential, and the game does a really bad job about explaining these fundamental tools. It's the only reason to hang around low and high sec. Genuinely. Unless you get into exploration, which you should. Exploration is what makes small ships competitive in any capacity. Being able to go into, for example, a level 1, and I'm talking baseline, just entry-level exploration. A level 1 compressed space with Veldspar and I believe Scordite. I don't know if it gets up to Plagioclase, I could be wrong. But level 1, those rocks are 10 times more valuable than anything in high sec, and it's safer. Nobody is in condensed spaces. Nobody's hunting there. Everybody's moving from system to system, moving around because it gives the illusion of productivity. Nobody's patrolling their own spaces or taking advantage of the resources in high and low sec. It's an open market. There is nobody in there fighting, for industry. Because all the industrialists buggered off to Nullsec, they have all the systems in place that they need to do what they want to do with the team. Corporations are super powerful, like, obviously. A lot of this transfers over from EVE Online. And a lot of the folks who did that, like, know that. But if you use regional delivery, you're really not spending much at all. You're spending, to put this in perspective, if I killed one pirate, one Logi pirate in a T6, it's going to net me what, 200,000 ish. I can move thousands of ventures, rough estimate, thousands of ventures from the Skarkan coast to the Freelands. I can move mountains of condensed fullerite C70. And I say condensed because there's actually pretty good reason to pack that gas down from null and haul it in. It's a whole other topic. Or mercoxit, condensed mercoxit. You want to use fuel to condense and lubricate your industry as much as possible. It'll maximize the effectiveness of whatever ships you have hauling. It'll also make you a lot more vulnerable, but if you're an Omega player anyway, and you've got the fuel coming in, which, why not? Fuel is a better resource to manipulate than planetary materials anyway, because unless you're using the materials for your own internal builds, there really isn't much reason to go farming that until there's rushes, which planetary materials is its own animal. The main thing I want to focus fire on is like the value added using the regional delivery system. Saves time. It's instantaneous. You don't have to wait, unlike any other delivery. So delivering from ITC to ITC, depending on the distance, there's a time allotted for people to actually make those deliveries. Regional is instantaneous. So from Skarkan to the Freelands, it's boom. And for the small fee involved, whatever that is, it's a lot smaller than the cost of a ship to haul those goods. So like a mammoth runs around 40 million ISK. I can have a pretend mammoth for 5,000. Like, it's not even, it's 2 factors of magnitude. It's, yeah. Also, whatever you intend to do, whether it's in EVE Echoes or out in real life, if you need motivation, do it for the cat. This is something that I've been struggling with, finding motivation to go out there and just get kicked in the teeth. Because, like, it's really rough out there right now, right? Like, the economy is, getting railed by a bunch of fat cats and carpetbaggers. The American economy, the world economy as a result is, also similarly suffering. But, yeah, things are bad. But do it for the cat. If you don't have a cat, pretend you have a cat. If you do have a cat, do it for the cat. Whatever you got going on, do it for your loved ones. And if you don't have loved ones, love yourself enough to either imagine one or find something to appreciate and care about. Even if it's like in a stupid little video game. It can be a ship. I love the Tall War line. Yeah. Other topics. I've got one more kind of saved up in the notes. Go slow to go fast versus the art of not waiting. Existence and life in general is a process of expansion and contraction. We breathe by inhaling and expanding, and we exhale to contract. And don't fixate too much on the woo-woo philosophical nonsense. The main point is there's times to go fast and seize the initiative, do the thing. And there's times to take a break and take accountability and stock. Count your blessings. Spend time relaxing and remembering to reset. And you got to have both. You need both. It's tough. I have a really hard time relaxing. It makes me anxious. It makes me want to go do the thing. And I feel less human if, for example, I go without shaving, or if I don't do creative things. I used to call it rotting. I kind of still do, but I don't know if that's accurate because, like, grapes rot, and that's what creates wine, right? And cooking requires a lot of waiting and patience, especially slow cooking. I love crock pots. I love stews and slow cooking in general. Bacon, you slow cook bacon, it's much better. Um, and then there's pancakes where you need, like, not necessarily too fast, but the appropriate pace, the right level of heat to actually make the delicious goods. And you can, like, stir up pancake batter and put it in a Tupperware that's, like, super thin and throw that bitch in the microwave and let it cook itself, you know? But, like, that's not fun, and the end result is, yeah, it counts. And, like, there's plenty of foods out there that you can eat in a rush. Hot dogs are kind of my go-to. SpaghettiOs, you can do cold, whatever. Uh, derelict mode you want to drift into. The main point of that note, I think, is to appreciate and emphasize the difference between going slow and going fast. In low and high sec, gathering resources is slow. So if that's the part of the gameplay that you enjoy, just throw in a little resource extraction civilian miner, a venture with Mark IIIs and a civilian afterburner on it, the barest minimum, and do your best bot impression, by all means. You'll still gather more than folks who aren't playing. And that applies to life as well. Like, if the best you can do is gather cans and bottles, my friend, there are recycling places that will take those, and it's not nothing. It's very close to nothing, and in fact, like, usury and the financialization of economies in general and the use of credit makes nothing illusory. We've actually moved zero so far underground that it doesn't mean anything. You can have zero money, be completely broke, and still have more than most of America at the very least. Other parts of the world are a little bit more, hopefully, responsible, but I don't know. But if you're at zero, you have more than anybody who's in debt. You can't tell. It doesn't look that way because they're extending, credit and their honor, whatever that's worth, promises to live a life that they can't necessarily afford, especially if they're living paycheck to paycheck. But zero is a joke. Most folks are below zero. And that's by design. Wage slavery and the financialization of institutions is what, lures folks into a false sense of security and gives the illusion of the American dream. The treadmill. People make deals with let's call them fairies instead of devils, with creditors, and it gets them wrapped up in poor self-evaluation. But yeah, if you want to get into industry, there's a lot of really cool stuff out there. I wrote a book not necessarily focusing on it because, like, Eve Echoes is a vast game full of all sorts of fun and exciting things. And life borrows... Eve borrows a lot from life. Life offers more. So, like, I'm looking to go upgrade my bike, for example. Can't afford it. I can't afford rent. The next month is gonna hurt, and, like, I'm jumping through as many hoops as I can to try and, like, get out of this hole, find a real job, and write and create and, like, do what makes me feel human, what makes me feel worthy of my name, my dad's name, and so on, worthy of existence. And, like, I don't have to do anything to be worthy of existence. All I got to do is breathe. And the same is true for anybody out there. If you're breathing, congratulations. You are enough in of and for yourself. And that's a start. But yeah, regional delivery is dope. Do it for the cat. Go slow to go fast versus seizing the initiative, and do it now. Yow. Those are kind of the three things for today's Orby report. I wonder if I might delay the posting for this just to kind of like build a little headway, build a little steam. Because I'm recording this on the Wednesday after Taco Tuesday. We'll see how it goes. Is there anything else I want to hit? Regional delivery is rad, and you really should be using it. Okay, take this for example. Even if you have great nullsec operations, you have a jump freighter, you're an Omega player, a whale among whales, who hauls, who moves mountains of titanium. From rorquals to whatever. If you park that stuff just as soon as you hit the coast of low-sec, it's fractional. It's like a much, much smaller fraction of the cost of the goods to just have that last mile be handled by the regional delivery system, which means your high-value assets can take the efficiency saved, like from that last mile move, and put it to use moving the rest of your mountains of goods, because you're, the whalest of whales and can afford rorquals chugging away every day. Like, it's you don't have to haul stuff all the way to Jita, y'all. Like, local ITCs will move the goods at the same price with less competition, more conveniently. It's going to be slow. It's going to be slower, especially at the lower end and the highest end. But that's not where the sweet spot is for moving goods. Markets are most pliable and malleable in the middle. Like, philosophically speaking, the Buddhists were onto something when they said follow the middle path. And it's not just the Buddhists, it's the Christians too. The straight and narrow path that they talk about. Any religion, literally any religion, any philosophy, literally any philosophy, whether you want to take a utilitarian approach, whether you want to go full experiential and deal with not the hedonic approach, but something similar, a phenomenological approach to whatever you're examining. The middle approach grants you the flexibility to lean either more loose and freewheeling, liberal, left wing, whatever you want to swing it, or more constrained and scared, fear, proven path, less open to new experiences, conservative, however you want to swing that. So like between, the extremes, which the right-wing extremes are really loud right now, despite being allegedly in control, or the left-wing extremes, which are also getting louder as a result, thankfully, to try and pull the Overton window back towards the middle. The middle path is best. It allows you to lean whichever way you need. Like right now, leaning to the left is a really good call if you want to, keep autonomy or keep your soul. Let's see. I think I've drifted far enough all over the place and talked about way more than anybody would ever want to hear. But the regional delivery system, it's just pure value. Like, even within the same system. So, for example, Pador, Cake Island is what I call that ITC. There's nothing out there. It's resource scarce, but because of that, nobody really hangs around, which means all of the condensed spaces are untapped. Free real estate, basically, because I ain't out there fighting. If you want to get into mining, go to Cake Island, go to Pador, go to Istidard, go to wherever you want, honestly. Ostingale, Wherever the people aren't, the resources are in high sec. And that goes up to like higher level C space too. It's not just, C10s you're looking for. C6s, C7s, anything a venture can pop into and pop out of, cool, you get value. But like the C1s, C2s, C3s, nobody's touching those. They're unexploited, completely unexploited. Which means, if you're rocking a covert ops venture or a venture 4, those are the actual targets that you want to focus fire on. Lowest risk, highest return. You're basically, you've got a 1,000% increase in the effectiveness of anything that goes into a C space. Which makes, your standard issue venture competitive with a venture 4, potentially. Because the bonuses you get from skills and the bonuses you get from equipment, okay, those all factor in, but pound for pound, you want to be looking for C space. And if you can't look for C space, you want to be, enjoying the experience. And enjoying the experience, if that involves not losing ships for you, then high sec, go for it. Low sec, you're going to lose a lot more ships than you will in null sec. Because pirates have also learned that the middle grounds are where, the action is. But yeah, that's my rant. With the regional delivery system, you can go anywhere as an entry-level player. You don't need transports. If you want to go start a mining operation out in null, good luck and Godspeed. You're going to have to get those goods to low, which means you need good coastal territories. You need good coastal access points. ScarCon is not one of those. But if you want a really good entry-level, experiment, Reblier out near Ostingale, Reblier, or just come to Orion. Kick it. All right. It's not the book. I'll get to the book next Tuesday, or before then if another interview falls flat. If you're still here, thank you. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I don't know, drop a line. Let me know how you're doing. If you got any questions, throw them my way too. I love this game. It's stupid how much I love this game. I love people more. I love people more. And that's why I talk about this game.